Good morning. This morning, December 21st, it's the feast of St. Peter Canisius. He was born around 1521, and he became a priest, I believe, in 1546. He was actually one of the, I think, the eighth priest to be ordained in the Jesuit order. So he was following after St. Ignatius of Loyola. St. Ignatius would have been about 30 years older than him. But nonetheless, St. Peter had become a priest, and he was doing well. He worked in Rome. He was born in Holland and went to Louvain, I believe it is. Louvain. And then he was assigned to the southern half of Germany. And now this is a time, and I didn't realize this, but when St. Ignatius got started with his order and it got approved in 1540, that's the very same time that Martin Luther had gotten started. So in the church, there's tremendous conflict as it's dividing itself in half and becoming half Lutheran or half Protestant and half Catholic or what have you. There's a tremendous amount of conflict. So there was a lot of like pushing one way or pushing the other way. St. Peter did a fascinating thing. He comes to Germany and he doesn't say anything bad about the Protestants. All he does is tries to teach the faith. Matter of fact, he not only teaches it, but he goes into the detail of including a catechism and putting that all together. Now, this is the first catechism, but what was interesting about St. Peter is he got that to be published. Now, one of the ways Martin Luther was so effective was he pushed publishing. Had the Bible printed, and he did a lot of translations and other writings that Martin Luther did, but he got them published so a lot of people could read them. Well, St. Peter did something similar, and not in conflict at all. But all he was trying to do is express the purity of our faith from its history and all the way through as to where we were and how we could be close to Christ. And how this can bring us a joy and a sense of peace. And he had gotten pretty inspired prior to going to Germany. He talks about this time when he had an experience. And he said his naked soul had been clothed by faith, love, and perseverance. Isn't that cool? Faith, love, and perseverance. Pray that we can have such a thing. But as he went on and did this, he was able to do it in a way in which there wasn't conflict. And because of that, he got tremendous support in Germany. And then later in his career, he was sent to Switzerland and just about single-handedly had Catholicism maintained in Switzerland. And when we think about these divisions, we realize the church we think of is not as pure as it could be. But to think of the church as the ideal helps so much. They did this in the councils, especially in the Vatican Council, and I'd like to read from you. It's called the Constitution of our, what's it called? The Constitution, the Dogmatic Constitution of the Church, otherwise known as Lumen Gentium. I'd like to just read and share this with you. It says, "At all times, in every race, anyone who fears God and does what is right is acceptable to him." This is directly from Acts of the Apostles. They go on to say, "He has, however, willed to make men holy and to save them, not as individuals without any bond or link between them, but rather to make them into a people who might acknowledge him and serve him in holiness." So we are called the people of God. And what's fascinating is all people are the people of God. Pretty inclusive. And we have St. Peter to thank. He not only got the printing of his catechism and other writings going and printed quite publicly, he also helped the printers of that time, the printers and the publishers, to get this out. In my own way, I need to get the word out, and it's fascinating that I can do it through social media. I find that interesting. I wrote a book, and I've sold very few, if any, copies, very few copies. And yet, when I see this and see the number of hits, it kind of encourages me to say, well, we all have ways of getting the word out. Let us pray that we might do that with faith, with love, and with perseverance. Have a blessed day.
going haywire with my computer.